design, entrepreneurship, and a lot of other ones. But those are things that the kids can put on their resume from here on out and can really use those to their advantage. And is another way for us to show the state of Texas that we are getting these kids ready for a career and for the next steps in their life. So as far as my background, I have quite an interesting background. I was a store director at HEB for a long time, probably about 8, 9 years. So as far as the leadership role goes, that was kind of where all my experience lied. I graduated from the University of Texas with a finance degree. I left HEB once kids came, and I decided that the nights and the weekends and everything else just wasn't going to work. I went back and got my master's and started teaching college classes. Right after that, we had both of my children while I was in grad school. And once I started teaching college, my whole career path kind of changed. So that's what led me into education. I taught at brick and mortar before, and then this year I started teaching business at TOPS at the high school level and progressed into the AP roles. So there's definitely lots of opportunities out there. It is a very interesting learning environment. It is very unique, and the technology that TOPS has is far superior based off what we've seen the public education system kind of do as far as brick and mortar schools and their attempt to do online learning. So I teach online learning in college as well. So kind of a lot of my teaching experience is online. So this has kind of been a good fit for me, and really gives you a lot of flexibility with your family. And that's obviously pretty important to me, is the main reason my career has kind of shifted this way. So hope that gives you a little explanation about TOPS. I'll pass it over to, I think Jessica is next, and she's going to talk about the teacher role more specifically and kind of how that looks. So here's Jessica. Thank you.
I feel like I'm on an award show. So thank you. I'm Jessica Higgins, and I am an 8th grade math teacher at the middle school campus at TOPS. And I love, love, love my job. It's the best job I've ever had. I have taught in a couple of different brick and mortar campuses in the North Texas. I think, Natasha, you're in Keller. I'm in the Keller area as well. So I've taught around Keller IC and a couple other districts around here, which were fabulous. But then I started having children, and I wanted something different and challenging and new. So I joined K-12 about, I'm finishing up my 6th year. Every year it's different and new and exciting, and that's what's so great about it. The question I always get is, what's a day in the life of the teacher? I'm like, well, depends on what year, because every year it's different. Every single year I've been with TOPS or with K-12, I have had a different teaching schedule. And what's great is we take a lot of feedback from families, and we take student feedback and teacher feedback, and we really try to make something that works for everybody. But we do have hours of 8 to 5. It is a full-time teaching job. You are expected to be online and available through those hours throughout Monday through Friday, full-time. And this year, I get up and I answer my emails at 8 o'clock, and usually some emails have popped in from the previous day with students working on assignments or watching my class recordings. And I'll answer those, do some tasks, whatever my principal sends out to me. And she's in the room, so I'm looking at her. And then I teach my math class at 9:20 on my campus. We have a specific time for math. Electives are kind of before math, and then students will come to math class. And then after that, they go to ELA. They have a little bit of a break. We do lunch and learn tutorial time. And then they have science and social studies in the afternoon. That's this year. I just teach math, so I just have my classes in the morning. I do 9:20 for 50 minutes, and then I do a tutorial session right after that, Monday through Thursday. Fridays are really fun because we get to have what's called Genius Hour on our campus, and there are clubs, and the students get to pick what clubs they want to go to, and they get to socialize and do something that's really interesting to them, and the teachers host them. So we have photography and just, a bunch of different fun things, and that's really neat. We spend a lot of time answering emails. We're in constant communication with families on emailing and texting and calling. We do a lot of PLC planning. We are a very, very collaborative campus. Everything we do, we're collaborating with our team. I'm actually a lot closer with my TOPS family than I ever was with my brick and mortar PLCs. Even though we're spread out all over the state, we're just in constant communication. And we plan together. We do a lot of PowerPoints for our classes, and we do a lot of looking at different things and trying out new technology and figuring out how to take what we did in brick and mortar, what worked, those fun group activities, and how do we get those things to translate into our online platform. And that's been a real challenge for me, but it's been really fun over the years. And I'm still learning every year something new, which is really great. And then we still have 504 meetings to attend and special education meetings to attend. Those are very important. We still have all of the state requirements for those. And we do our staff meetings and things on Wednesday afternoons. And otherwise, we have our online platform for the students to learn from. So we do our live sessions, but then students also have lessons that they go through in the online school through the K-12 platform. We are able to kind of manipulate those lessons and add things and make it really personalized to us and our students. K-12 has actually been really awesome. With making for math. We're making a customized math course for Texas because we have our unique geeks that we have to teach here in Texas. So that's been really fun. Working with product development on getting that for us. But you are limited as far as the virtual platform, but honestly, you're really not, because you can really take whatever you've done before and you can make it virtual. And so I think that's about it for me. I forgot who was next. I'm sorry. I'm not cool like Travis.
No, you're fine. I know the question that they're going to ask, and so I'm going to ask it now so we don't have to say later. Tell us about how many students you have in your class.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, that changes every year as well. So it can vary. I've had as many as 250 students on my caseload, but now this year I have about 125. So it's a pretty typical middle school caseload for students. And the unique thing is, though, that I do invite them all to my class at one time, but it's very manageable in the online setting, and classes are recorded. So I really usually only have, maybe 80 or so actually show up. And then the rest of them, because of their unique needs and unique schedules, a lot of times will watch the recordings, later on and then email me with any questions or come to tutorials if they have any questions and things like that. But yeah, it's a normal. The grading is actually a lot less because a lot of it is through the online platform. So they take those quizzes, they're graded automatically, and a lot of them are even uploaded into the gradebook automatically. So that's a lot less as far as that goes. But our data is a lot better because I get to see on every single assignment, I get to see an item analysis. I get to see how they did on each individual question on each individual assignment, which is, as a math teacher, it's like my favorite thing ever, is looking at the data of the questions. So it sounds like a lot, but it's very, very manageable.
Thank you, Jessica. So just this is just kind of an overview slide. You guys just heard a lot from Travis and Jessica already. I know you're starting to think about questions, but just to kind of give kind of the overview, we do have, all these roles have benefits. You do get your laptops and pieces that you need to be able to successfully do the job are sent to you. Medical, dental, vision, lots of different plans. Travis spoke about the 401k with matching. There's PTO. This is also a school year position, so it's not year round or anything like that. So those are just some of the questions we have. We also do professional development modules. We have some really great programs for continued education, for reimbursement, for continued growth. Texas does not pay into TRS. We have a 401k with Stride. So that's just kind of there are teacher trainers, there's a talent development group that's supportive, there are mentors, there are we are not here operating without making sure that there's support. So how do you find these jobs? You should go to our career site. It's right up at the top, and then Courtney's going to put the link right into the bottom. www.stridelearning.com/careers. There's a little arrow you see right here to go to teaching and academic support opportunities, and then you just want to type in TOPS. And when you type in TOPS, it's going to take you to all the TOPS roles, and there's been a lot that has been added even just this week. So this week, last week, so it was recently. So I'm going to actually kick it over to Megan, who's the Texas recruiter, who could talk to you a little bit more about roles, applying, what she's looking for. And I think Courtney has some links to put in there for you guys to see as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Megan. I am the academic recruiter for TOPS. I've been with Stride and with TOPS for about 2.5 years now. Like Keisha was saying, if you're interested in joining TOPS and Stride, we do have positions that we are looking to hire with immediate start dates. You just go to a website, filter out by TOPS, and that's where you will find our the positions we're looking for immediate hires right now. We are also looking. We also have all of our positions posted for the school year 21-22 posted as well. So for those, if you just want to filter that by Texas, it'll bring you all of the Texas ones. When you are applying for the position, just note that you want to choose TOPS. It'll ask a question about which Texas school you want. Just go ahead and select TOPS, and that's how we filter out which school. A couple of the requirements, we do require the standard Texas teaching certification. Be sure that when you are applying, you are also uploading a copy of that as well. All of our staff is also required to live in the state of Texas. If you are currently living out of the state but looking to relocate for this school year, be sure to just put a Texas address in your application as well. But back to the positions that we're looking for right now, we have an open head of school role. We are looking for a high school business position. We are looking for a math intervention teacher, as well as middle school science and an elementary school teacher as well. So those are all posted up on the website. Those also have immediate start dates. So just be sure that when you are applying, you are ready to start with us. If you're not ready to start with us right now, again, we have all of our positions from elementary school all the way up into high school that are posted for next school year as well.
Megan, what should they do if they look on there today and they don't necessarily see a position that fits them?
Yeah, definitely. So if you're not looking, we do. If you don't see a position that fits you right now, I encourage you to check, because our website has the most up-to-date positions. So keep looking. Yes, exactly, Frank. Keep going to the website, keep looking, because as soon as we need it, it's going to be up there, and we're going to be looking to hire for that as soon as possible. So definitely just keep a lookout for it, because we are just beginning.
And she did mention, make sure you're looking at TOPS. There are other schools in Texas. So there's gonna, make sure that you're just keeping your eye on roles that are happening at TOPS, but you will see Texas roles that come from other schools as well. So how do I apply? We already pointed to how to go to the career website. You should click on the teaching and academic job board. You register an email and account with us. It does not take a very long time for that part. And then apply. And you can apply for multiple roles as long as you have the certification and the interest for those roles. Our recruiters are actively reviewing applications now. We recognize this is, I just realized that it's almost May. I was about to say it's early April. It is, it's May, so we're starting to look for who we need for next year. So in the next 4 weeks or so, you should hear something back. You will, for all the teacher roles, will be invited to do a recorded video of a teaching sample. That would be, teach your favorite lesson. And you'll see some information once you're invited to that process that you can kind of look at and see how to do it. And we give you kind of how this works. It's not to scare you, it's just to prepare you. If selected, the hiring manager will invite you to a final interview. That might be phone. It's likely going to be a virtual interview. Then if selected, an offer will go out. So that is how the process goes. So just a little quick plug, we do have a talent community as jobs are opening, as events are happening. You can sign up on our talent community. There's a QR code there. If you point your phone towards it, it'll sign you up. All you have to do is put your name and your email address in there. You'll know about upcoming events. You'll know if something just happened and we just happen to have a role that's a hot job. You'll know about our special education webinar that's coming up in May. And then you can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's Careers at Stride, or also Tops at K-12. So that's just our shameless plug. If you want to be in the know, if you're interested in enroll with us, that's a good place to go. So I'm gonna turn this over to you guys. If you all have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, to put them in the Q&A, and somebody from this panel can answer them. Before that happens, Holly, is there anything you wanted to say?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm the interim head of school at TOPS, and I was noticing in the chat, Shelby, Greenville's my hometown, so Sulphur Springs was my go-to, and I actually lived there a while. And then Melody over in White Oak, I just moved from that area. And then Lauren, and to all the other Aggies, not to offend Travis with his UT background, but whoop. So I'll move on, but proud Aggie here. So it was really great to see in the chat where all of you are from. And we really do. We look to staff across the state with the best talent. And we do have a lot of new positions coming at TOPS. We are really looking at innovative risk takers who want to try new things, and maybe because of where you currently are with virtual and your experiences, you want to just take that to the next level. Like the rest of the team said, we do have a lot of professional development along the way, and it is a very collaborative environment. So we're excited, but I could talk all day about how great TOPS and K-12 Stride is, but I want to hear your questions. So again, thank y'all all for being here.
Yeah, so this is a good question. Oh, Travis, I see you doing it, or Holly. How does TOPS differ? So when you're looking at the Texas schools, why choose to apply with TOPS?
I can take that one, Travis.
Yeah, I was going to answer Jennifer's question. It was getting pushed up in the chat here. They were asking what's the difference between Stride, K-12, TIVA, and TOPS. So Stride is the parent corporation of K-12, and Stride owns quite a few different smaller companies. K-12 is the education school branch side of it. TIVA is Texas Virtual Academy at Hallsville, and it is its own entity that has 3 schools as well, just like TOPS. So they have a middle, an elementary, and a high school at TIVA. And then TOPS is Texas Online Preparatory School, and it is tied into Huntsville ISD. So most of us on this call here are all TOPS or through K-12 at the corporate level. So at TOPS, like I said, we have elementary 3 through 12, so elementary, middle, and high school. So basically you have 2 online public high schools offered by K-12 in the state of Texas, and those 2 are TIVA and TOPS. So hope that kind of clears that up for you. I'll pass it to you, Holly. You can take it.
No, you hit the high points. Another distinct difference between the two, TIVA is our largest school. Currently, we have 12,500 students, and there is no enrollment criteria per se, other than what you would have if you walked into your local brick and mortar school district. It is affiliated with Hallsville ISD, as where, like Travis said, TOPS is affiliated with Huntsville ISD and has about a little under 5,000 students across grades 3 through 12. The other difference with TOPS that makes it distinct is there is some enrollment criteria. So students at TOPS, one of the enrollment criteria is some successful performance in their previous public school. And so we look at that as an entrance criteria. So both schools use K-12 curriculum and a lot of the same professional development, but the populations differ a little bit, and the size of the schools.
Can I add a little bit to that, Holly, too? As far as TOPS is the oldest at this point for K-12 Texas. And because of that, we have a more veteran staff than what TIVA has had. And so that plays into our culture a little bit more, into the support as we bring in new staff. We are able to support them. I am not Holly Lyon, by the way. My name's Crystal Frost. I am the principal at the middle school. There were 3 Holly Lyons. I'm not the real one. But yes, and so that plays a lot into our culture, just because we have that veteran staff. For example, Jessica's been here for probably longer than me, 6 years. 7 years, yeah. And so we're able to build on that and offer that support to our new teachers and new staff as they come on.
Thank you, guys. Ashanti, maybe I'll kick this to Megan. Ashanti wants to know, is there buzzwords? What can you do to make your application stand out, your interview stand out, and have an opportunity to work with TOPS?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that video interview is the first experience, your first opportunity to show who you are to your hiring managers who are going to be reviewing it. So be sure to just be your true self and have fun with it. We understand it can be a tough process. You're recording yourself and you're giving a mock lesson, so to speak, but just give it your all. Be yourself, and if you have questions, you can definitely reach out to the recruiting email, recruiting@k12.com, and we can go from there.
I'll kind of add on to that. I can tell you I've done a lot of hiring and firing at HEB, and I look for the same thing every time, no matter what I'm hiring for. I want energy givers. So it's real plain and simple. It's awkward to sit in front of a camera and be excited. It's awkward to smile at yourself looking at the camera. It does take a little getting used to, but I can tell you that the students on the other end, when they hear Jessica speak and smile and be excited about what she's teaching, it impacts them. So it's easy to be the only one in the room, and when you're talking to the camera, be somewhat dry, but bring your energy, bring your excitement. You get a choice on what you're teaching when you do your lesson prep. So there is a little bit of flexibility there. So teach something you're excited about, teach us something that you can bring your A game. So that would be my little bit of advice, is to smile, have fun with it, bring energy, because ultimately that's going to engage the students. If you're not engaged or excited to be on your lesson, then they're not going to be either. So that's one thing that kind of jumps out at the page first time I see somebody speak, is what kind of energy they bring and how excited they are to be there.
Thank you. Taylor, you asked if you do a sample teaching video, can you redo it later? Yes. You would just need to it would be Megan know that you would want to clear it out and do it again.
And I'll add on to Travis. Again, that energy is the first part that will catch our eye on your higher view. The energy in your lesson. And the second part is those questions are very are driven by the campus about what we feel is important. And so take those questions, and look at them and kind of give it your best effort. They don't have to be perfect, but we definitely want to see your heart in them when you're answering. And then I'll talk, just because I'm a military spouse that transferred into Texas and had to change my credential. There was a question in there about the Texas credentialing. I'm not sure who Texas has reciprocity with, if anybody, because Texas is Texas and they like to do their own thing. I will say that I was certified in Georgia and Tennessee, and neither of those were had reciprocity into Texas. And so, but they will look at what you have, and they'll want your, you send into TEA your college transcript and who you're certified through, and then they kind of tell you, well, this is what you can take and be certified in. They have, their certifications are a little different than other states too, which if you go from state to state, that's common. But the big thing is that don't necessarily need to do everything they approve you for. Like I was approved for 8 different tests. You don't need to do all of the tests, and they can give you the year interim, so that while you're trying to get hired in Texas, that you can find your spot and then take the rest of them. So for example, I was certified, or they offered me 4 through 8 generalist, social studies, ELA, and then some K through 6 or K through 3, sorry, K through 3 and 4 through 8. And I just got the general, like the regular 1 year. And then I got a position teaching social studies and ELA in 8th grade. And so then I did, and I didn't know, this is why I'm telling anybody that's transferring in, is that I didn't know that you could only, that generalists covered all of the things. So I did all of the 4 through 8 tests. So just so you know, you don't need to do them all. Just find your spot, and then you can transfer it in.
Thank you, Second Holly. I see, it looks like most of the questions are being answered. Guys, we still have some time left on the clock. If you have more questions, feel free to put them in. This is a wealth of knowledge that you have here. And, you know, especially when you're in the virtual world, you don't always get this many faces that can answer your questions.
So I'll touch on Jennifer's question, or Jennifer's comment, kind of. So going into this, I understand what you're saying about it's difficult to see the learning. When you're actually in the learning platform and you see and watch teachers that have done it for a while and are very good at it, there's lots of tricks that you can use to get feedback from the students, where you can't always see them, and some of them will get on camera for you, and you are able to see them. Your questioning that you use, there's polling. There's lots of methods where we allow them a whiteboard and they can post their thoughts, or they can share comments or learning experiences or whatever it may be. But there's lots of different methods that teachers use to get that feedback during a lesson. Yes, it's different. It's not the same as face-to-face, and that's either, for most teachers, it's either the fun of it and the challenge, right? Or it's the downfall, and that's the struggle for the teacher, is that it's not the same as brick and mortar, and it's not. And you know, a lot of times people will say, "Oh, online's easy." You'll hear brick and mortar teachers say that, and it's not easy. It's not easy getting that feedback. It's not easy not having a student in front of you and still engaging them. It's almost more challenging to a lot of those aspects. So you're either the type person that's wants that challenge and is willing to accept it and you know, go outside of the box, because I can definitely tell you, even me moving to teaching my business class here, there was definitely some changes that I made in my style to appeal to the students and to get that feedback on where they are. So just to kind of touch on that one.
You know, I want to add a little bit to that as well, because as a teacher, you know, I don't want to say you want to entertain, but you know, even in the classroom, you have to keep their attention and you have to be engaging. But when you're virtual, like I think it was Jennifer was saying, you don't see them. But and if you're doing your interview lesson, you're not going to see it. There's no one there even responding. So I sort of sometimes think I'm doing a radio show about math, and I'm, you know, teaching this fun kids program about math, and I just try to make it fun. You're not going to get that interaction on your you know, interview video, but you can still kind of make it fun. You can pause and say, you know, what do you think? And you could kind of imagine that they're there doing it that way. But when you are in this position, you still have to make class recordings. You know, if you're ever sick or if you're ever out for a vacation or something, you have to make a class recording to nobody. So you have to get on your computer and do your screencast or do your video, and you're teaching to no one, to the recording, but you're talking to your students. So you're still talking to the people that are watching the recording. So just kind of envision, all right, guys, you know, you're listening to me, and we're going to go through this math concept. And so you just still make it energetic. You still make it fun, as though there's going to be 200 kids listening to you talking, and they may not be there right then. They might be watching it later, but it is new and it is different and it is an adjustment, but just try to have fun with it.
There's a couple other questions. I don't, Megan, you may be able to answer Frank's question better, but I don't see why not. as long as we can get the recording to YouTube. Is that the right answer there?
Yep, exactly. Whatever you can use, that works, as long as there's a link that the hiring team can use to review.
And I think we touched on Pam's question. And Pam, just on that note on health science, we are working on kind of looking at expanding our pathways in health science. We do have a pathway right now, but there's quite a few pathways, as you might be familiar with, that are available in the state of Texas. So that's one of the areas we're kind of looking to grow in the future.
And I'll add, for those worried about the live component. So the live, we're not judging you based on like how students would respond. Like Travis had said earlier, your energy is important. Do you address, like, if you're teaching theme, do you address, I have an ELA background, so sorry. Like, if I'm teaching theme and I'm teaching it, how do I plan to address misconceptions that I know as a content specialist would come up when I'm teaching theme, or whatever content you're teaching? And so some of those things, like, we're really looking at it from your side and the energy behind it. We're not judging you based on how you would interact once we give you all of the tools. Again, we do a plethora of PD. I was better trained coming into virtual education than I was trained in any other job that I've ever had, even the Army. And you just spend a lot of time getting to know the platform, and you're paired with seasoned teachers that help you learn all the tips and tricks. We have a Stride focused professional development every year too, with promising practices. You get to learn from across the country on what works in virtual education. And so you're never like just thrown into the classroom and said, make it work. And so we don't judge based on those things. We just really are looking at how you present yourself, and the content.
I saw a question about personalization in Google Classroom and things for Jennifer. There is an online course that the students have to go through, and there are pre-made, really interactive lessons and videos and things like that that K-12 provides, which are honestly really great. And for the most part, for most subjects, for math, they're really great. And so then you do have the ability to personalize that, though. You can add in your own links to different things. You can create your own assignments and quizzes if you don't want to use the one that they've provided for you to use. You can, to a certain extent, you can personalize it. Your PowerPoints, though, that you present to the class are completely you and completely personalized to you. Usually you plan as a team and kind of share PowerPoints, but then you get to really make it your own. So there's a lot of creative license you can take with your lessons. And so I hope that answers your question. Class size, I saw a question about class sizes. Like I said earlier, I have about 125 and I invite them all to one class, but different subjects are different. I have the advanced students, so I just bring them all in at the same time. But other math teachers kind of split their groups into two different groups. So they'll only maybe invite, 50 or so at a time. It just depends. Social studies and science at our school are a little bit bigger, because there's not as many teachers to split up the load. So it really depends on your content area and your grade level for class sizes.
And just to touch on that, as far as the personalization, you're never going to hear an admin at TOPS tell you not to personalize things. We want you to differentiate it the way you would like to. We want you to touch base with your students where they're at, and personalization is where it's at. That's how you're going to connect with your students, especially in this environment. So yeah, I think in most classes, you come with a good, solid platform, which is nice because it gives you the time to personalize it and the time to spend in creating the content that you want and making your slides the way you want and really making that live CC grab the attention of your students. So yeah, good question.
Jennifer, another good question is the state assessment. So we do STAR testing and EOC testing just like any brick and mortar campus. The main difference for us is that we go to different in-person locations throughout the state. And so you'll have to travel to that location each day, and it's no more than 60 miles. It's usually far less than that to get to your location, and you're scheduled on certain days by the coordinator for that site. So we have different testing sites throughout the state. So you do have to go in person, and as a middle school teacher, I still have to support the elementary and high school testing. So I still have to support the EOC testing in December and the June testing. We do the in-person June testing. So there is a week in June that we have to go and do that. But we do have to still do all of the state testing.
And like she was saying, we do it as a team. So elementary, middle school, high school, it kind of reduces the amount of location we need and combines all the students together. So like for me, I'm in Houston area, and I was at the U of H location, which is right in the middle of Houston. So it was not far. They work with you on the location, try to get everybody close. That way the teachers in that area are supporting the students in that area. And we have testing coordinators there, and we have facilities that we go to that we've kind of coordinated in the past. So sometimes they're at hotel conference rooms that have rooms. Sometimes they're at, like me, I was at the U of H campus, which obviously had plenty of facility for us. So it's pretty well coordinated, and we all do it as a team. It's obviously something we have to do for the state of Texas, and being virtual, it is something out of the ordinary, I guess, that we are meeting face to face, but it's the way that we have to do it to get the state testing accomplished.
Okay, guys, it's starting to get quiet. I think we're gonna take the last few questions, and then we are going to excitedly let you guys spend time on doing your applications and looking up jobs. So if you have, this is kind of your last few minutes. If you have a last question, please let me know. I saw somebody raise their hand.
Ready for another good question? We do have a population of ESL students. We do TELPAS and TELPAS writing and those things as well. I should let Travis or someone else speak that actually knows the number, but we do have a coordinator for that, and we do all of the ESL requirements.
Yeah, being honest, I don't know the number off the top. I would have to look it up, but we definitely do TELPAS, like she's saying. Pretty well coordinated. We're actually able to do TELPAS online. It doesn't require us physically going anywhere. We ask the students to be on camera during their TELPAS writings. And we have everybody participate, which is, even if you are not ESL or required to do TELPAS, the more you write is probably a good thing, especially no matter whatever level you're at. So all the students participate in it. It's writing week. They kind of expect it and know what's going on. But yeah, as far as a specific number, I don't know. I'll have to look it up today. That's an interesting question.
For middle school, it's again, it changes based on enrollment, and our enrollment is a little different than what brick and mortar is, and so it changes. But the middle school was in the 40s about the time of TELPAS. I will say that every campus does that writing week a little bit differently. We implemented at the middle school writing across the curriculum. And so our kids write every month and every content. And so it's not just a writing week for us, but we're making them write often, always and often. Again, I'm an ELA teacher, so the rest of them are stuck doing what I want, right? No, I'm just teasing. We're very collaborative. But that's that. I will say that if you are ELA, and Megan can speak to this too, if you're an ELA applying for an ELA position, the requirement for TOPS is that you also have your ESL supplemental. And so that's wonderful if you already have it, because that's always a needed thing here in Texas. Natasha, as far as anticipating higher enrollment, I think that that's up in the air. And so we're trying to find out how many of our students are returning to us at this point. We're in our re-registration window. And then once that one closes, then we'll start looking at at the higher enrollment as the ISDs remove those remote learning options. But TOPS has continued to grow every year. In a pandemic or outside of a pandemic, we've grown every year. And so we continue to look forward towards that growth.
I think that's everything. I think the rest of the questions Megan just answered in here. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for being interactive. Thank you for asking questions. We are super excited about this upcoming school year at TOPS, so please apply. Thank you for working on your videos, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.